Hi baby angels, it's BB. This is Pure Red Velvet. I'm doing a VR to Catomancy Tarot. What's your tarot origin story? She's working on her dissertation and has some questions to ask the community, and I thought that I would join in. So here we go. Number one, what kind of religious upbringing did you have? I was kind of peripheral to any religious influence that was around me. So I had cousins and aunts and uncles who were in the LDS church because my mom was brought up in the church, but did not practice as an adult. And so when I was with cousins, I would go to church on Sundays and I would live with them like a lot in the summers and spend time with them. So I knew a lot of the traditions and just kind of the day-to-day life of that religion. And then my dad's side is Presbyterian. They went to church too. I didn't really go to church with them. And then I've had exposure to the Catholic Church as a kid and also like non-denominational Christian church in my preteen years or early teens. But always felt like a visitor, was never someone who had any sort of emotional or mental stock in organized religion. I remember being a kid and being asked if I was going to get married in the temple when it comes to like the LDS church. And thinking that I was going to and calling myself Mormon because I wanted to be like my family and I looked up to them, and then realized into my junior high school years that I could be myself and it didn't feel authentic to me to pursue that. Okay, so question number 2, what was your first exposure to tarot and how did you get your first deck? So my first exposure to tarot, other than seeing it in media, right, movies and TV when I was a kid, I mean, honestly, probably my first exposure to tarot was like Robin Hood. Like this, I don't know if he just uses the crystal ball or if there's tarot cards involved, but I just feel like it's really in the zeitgeist, right, of our cultural knowledge, even if we don't know anything about it, like the images and the stereotypes about it, or just like the cards, like anyone can kind of picture a tarot card, or if you show a tarot card to the average person, like they're gonna know, oh yes, that's a tarot card or something. I think, I don't know, I had exposure through media, but actually like the real first in-person was a friend of my mom's when I was probably between 8 and 10, came over and hung out with us, gave me a leather pouch with some stones, gave my mom an angel deck. It was actually, I have it up, so I will put a picture up on the screen, but it was called the Angel Oracle, and it was by Ambika Waters, and it had like the archangels and things in it, and I remember her doing a reading for my mom and I and really being taken with it, and the mysticism and the esotericism, and also kind of like because they were angels, and that was really beautiful and interesting to me, just the concept, like the archetype of an angel. My interest in like religious like iconography and things like that, or religious like lore, is kind of the same as it would be with any kind of mythology or pantheon from other like civilizations and time. So angels interest me the same way that Greek mythology interests me, so that was really fun, and my mom was always really open to it, never really got into it herself until more recently after I got into it, but that was my first hands-on tarot reading. And then I did get a couple readings later on, like one at Universal Studios, City Walk when I was a kid, and then maybe one more I got like a hand reading. Hey, just a quick insert. I don't even know where I'm putting this in the video, but I remembered too that back in 2012, 2013, I was going to a metaphysical institute. I don't even know what you would call it. It was called the Learning Light Center in Anaheim, and they had tarot classes, which I did not take, but they had these like tarot parties like the first Tuesday of every month or something, and you could go and pay $20 and sign up and put your name on a list and get 3 tarot readings for $20, and then they would have like snacks or pizza or whatever. And I remember seeing more decks, and people would use like playing card decks, or they would use oracle, or they would use tarot, and it was amazing. And some of my readings were incredible and some of them weren't, but it was the most amazing experience, and I think that is what changed my mind. It took me some time. So if I got my first deck in 2013, you know, I think that is what like put me on the lookout. That I was like, I had my radar like on for something really that resonated with me and was beautiful. And it was because that latent interest and knowledge, or just like curiosity about tarot, was cemented with going to the Learning Light Center. It was such a fun, cool place. And speaking of, I feel like I should look it up and see what they're doing now. I definitely didn't feel represented. Like they didn't feel like my people. And I feel that way a lot in TarotTube. Is I think everyone in the community is amazing and cool. And I'm so grateful they exist, because I love watching their videos, and I love the knowledge and the vulnerability and the insight that they provide, and their wonderful personalities and all of their different tastes. But I didn't feel very seen, which is why I made a tarot channel and started recording. But yeah, I definitely wanted to shout out the Learning Light Center. If anyone's in California, let me know if you've been there. But so that was my introduction. Let me go back to my questions here. Okay, so my first deck, I used to read a music magazine called Spin Magazine, and in the back of the magazine, almost monthly for a while, they were doing this collaboration with an online boutique called Bona Drag. And Bona Drag is the title of a Morrissey album, but it was a boutique, and they would do a playlist of the month. And so in the back of the magazine, there was a physical CD that you could have. It just came with the magazine, and then they would have like the playlist written out so you could discover, you know, new music. And so I remember going to Bona Drag, the website, and seeing this deck right here, the indie edition of Kim Kranz's Wild Unknown, and fell completely in love. Had never seen a tarot deck that looked like this at all. Had never seen a contemporary tarot deck before in my life. This was 2013, and had to have it because tarot was so interesting, but I am such an aesthetically driven person that I didn't see how I could ever do it, because I didn't resonate with the Rider-Waite-Smith. But at that time, I didn't even know what the Rider-Waite-Smith was, but I knew the imagery, right? And I didn't like the colors, and I didn't like the figures. So I saw this deck and knew it was for me and purchased it. So that's how I got my first deck. Question number 3 is, when did the tarot become a more important part of your practice? And when, if ever, did you stop being a skeptic? What was your moment of tarot conversion like? Tarot became a more serious practice for me in 2017, after I had discovered TarotTube, which is a later question, so I'll save that explanation for later. That's when I started to actually study the tarot and go off book. I really wanted to learn the system and more of the history, and so I started reading books about it and memorizing the card meanings, because, right, you have to learn the rules before you can break the rules, as in I didn't trust my intuition completely, and so I needed to know what they meant before I could kind of expand into what they meant for me. So yeah, it's been since 2017. And that was a good 4 years after I had purchased my first deck. Okay, the second half of number 3 is, when, if ever, did you stop being a skeptic? Sometimes I'm still a skeptic and sometimes I'm really not. And it really just depends. I find myself, I used to, and sometimes I still do, when I'm about to read someone, I have to disclaimer that I'm not clairvoyant and that the cards speak for themselves and that it's a co-creation between me and them, and that the cards are a conduit for that. I also like to, because I don't like to scare people off with like woo stuff. So like I'll say, you know, this is a psychological tool. It doesn't have to do necessarily with magic, and these cards are supposed to represent the human experience. And so any card that we pull is an opportunity for an exercise of how it relates to your life and how we can like put a mirror up to the situations in your life and how you're feeling, etc. And part of me like loves that approach because I'm a Gemini and I analyze things and I intellectualize things. And then part of me feels a little bit, I don't know if fake is the word, because it's not fake, the cards don't lie, but it makes me kind of wish that I did have more of a magical connection. I don't identify as a witch, but I love magic. I love witches. I just feel like something different, and I don't quite know what that is yet. I am very interested in the occult, and I don't necessarily feel like tarot is that occultish sometimes. Maybe it's my aesthetic. Maybe it's what I'm into that isn't super occulty, but like, does occult have an aesthetic, or is that just something we associate with? I'm asking my own questions. Sorry, Janaki. Okay. So sometimes I feel like, I guess my biggest connection with the magic of tarot is that I understand that I am made of atoms, and atoms are pure energy, and so are the cards, that we're all made of the same thing. And so if I pick up the cards and I have an exchange with them, and I am really feeling my energy and transmitting my energy into these cards, that I am going to get what I need to hear and what is resounding within me. And so, yeah, I guess that's more divining. That's kind of where I'm at. But you know, I'm 36 and I don't intend to get rid of tarot in my life, and I'm hoping that my magical and spiritual journey continues. I'm also someone who goes very deep when it comes to certain things and stays not so deep in other things. And I feel like this is one of those things where I don't get too deep in it. And I think that's why I enjoy having a variety of decks too. Anyway, after that long, unnecessary answer, let's do number 4. So when did you start reading for others or start to read for clients, and why? Or if not, have you ever thought about it? I immediately started reading for others. So I got my first deck, and then I would read for others, and I would completely do the huge like Celtic cross, and it would take like 45 minutes, and I would read from the book. And I did that for 4 years, and I loved it. I prefer to read for others over myself because I don't know how to be unbiased. I don't know how to like make snap judgments when it comes to myself. So yeah, I really love reading for other people. I do get intimidated, and I do get in my own way sometimes, because if I'm coming at it from a certain approach where it's not this magical thing that's always going to give the right answers, or you know, if I'm doubting that part in my head, it's hard for me to read strangers. I can read the cards, but I'm afraid. Like, I'm intimidated, and I'm afraid to say something that doesn't resonate with someone. I guess deep down, it's like you don't want to be found out when I can only do what I can do, you know? So I'm working on that. I'm working on having more confidence and believing in myself in this way. So yeah, that skeptic really creeps in there a lot. But yeah, reading for other people is my favorite thing. And I did it immediately. Because it was like a game. You know what I mean? If I had the book, it was okay. I could just read. And I read for my family, which was really comfortable too, and my friends. Number 5, what are some of your qualities from your background that made you a good reader? That is, what do you bring to the table as a reader, and what do you think your tarot superpower is? So I'm definitely an empath, and I feel like I was born with certain wisdoms, and throughout life have learned certain wisdoms in a valuable way that I feel the need to share with others. Like, I feel like that was what I was meant to do. And things like human design, etc., have affirmed that. Like, I'm a projector in human design. And so tarot is this really wonderful way that I don't need to go be licensed as a therapist. It sounds so bad, but it's a wonderful way that I can use a tool with someone and help give them like what they need to hear, whether it's advice, whether it's affirmation, whether it's a reminder of who they are. That's what it does. And so I think that my superpower is really being able to connect with people. And I once was told by someone that I just know what people need to hear, and the way that I articulate myself resonates with people, and that is a gift. I'm so touched by that. I have a couple of reviews from my website. Let's see. Her ability to clearly communicate energy makes for a uniquely relatable experience. BB approached the reading with so much insight, enthusiasm, and genuine care for my experience. I couldn't have had a better introduction to tarot. BB is always showcasing her intuitive abilities. You can tell immediately that BB has a natural gift to connect and truly loves what she does. So I think that, yeah, I think I have the ability to see inside of people for who they are in a way that it feels very easy. And so I think that's where the words come from. And yeah, I think it's a less intimidating way for people to hear what they need to hear. And so that's why I like to use it. Yeah. I'm like thinking if there's anything else, but yeah, I would say my ability to connect and to know what they need to hear would be probably my biggest strengths as a reader. I also think that I'm really accessible and different. I offer something different to people. I pulled these out so that you could see kind of an array of different aesthetics that make up who I am, and I think that it opens a door for people who maybe would be more into these things if they could see themselves in it. And I think that tarot is doing a really great job of that nowadays. But even still, there is a mainstream tarot look and new age look and metaphysical look and lifestyle, that kind of all of these things that we associate with it. And I really like to break stereotypes. I really like to break statistics, and I like to be singular and unique. And I think that in being myself, I think I draw in a certain type of person, and I welcome them, and I am that certain type of person, and I want to do that for people. Okay, the last question is, when did you get into TarotTube, and what is your relationship with tarot and social media? So, I got into TarotTube probably like 2015, 2014, 2016, I'm not sure. But I was following people who did readings. So I was really into like Gemini June 2015, you know. So I was following people like She Bear. I was following people like The Quietest Revolution. And then that kind of led me into Ethany and her 31 Days of Tarot hashtag. And that kind of opened the floodgates to people like Lisa Pepez, etc. I followed so many people, like anyone I could that would do that hashtag, because I decided that I was going to start collecting. And yeah, even so that was probably later in the 2010s, but I spent a good couple years just watching people read tarot for me. And that's kind of a lot, like I learned a lot, you know, seeing how they read the cards really helped. There was one too, the Tarot Empress or something. She's amazing, and I would definitely take her courses. I have not, but she was really great with emotion, like reading emotions in tarot cards. And social media, I love. I love communication. I am a Gemini stellium. My Mercury is in Gemini, and my stellium's in the 11th house. So I love social media. I love connecting with people. I love the creative and visual aspect of it. So I was on YouTube. I had a YouTube account very early on, and I didn't start posting videos until this year, maybe 2 months ago. But I don't use my tarot Instagram as often as my main Instagram, but I watch at least a tarot tube video a day, or I try to. So yeah, that's my tarot journey, and I hope that it was, I don't know, helpful for your research. Janaki, thank you for starting this tag. It was interesting to reflect on. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being curious. Thanks for being my friends, and my mom's coming. I gotta go.